Hi friends, welcome back to my channel. I have two purposes today. I want to show you different ways to hold the yarn for tension and also explain a little bit about the Bruges wedge baby blanket, which is a variation of the Bruges wedge cowl that is in my book, One Skein Crochet. So the interesting part about, well, there's lots of interesting parts about this blanket. Let me pull up a little bit. So this is just the Bruges wedge. So it's a blanket where I am adding on and making this triangular shape. The work is progressing this way and growing along the edge that is not joined. But once you get to, and I will do a starting video probably for it, but I wanted to show you this really important edging here, which is important for the Bruges wedge cowl as well, which is once you get to the final row of the new wedge, when it joins to the previous wedge, and then there'll be another row along. So I want to get to that point. So let's see, is that a global? Can you see a little bit more here? So I started here with a point and it grew this way. And then when it got to the widest part down here, then we made some change and started a new wedge that joined to the first one. Okay, and so we're doing a big long zigzag all the way around. And as you get to, I know this will make sense, I promise, if you ever make this project out of the book, but I wanted just to join here and show you a close-up. So here's the previous wedge that had joined, and now I'm working on this wedge over here, and I'm joining to the previous wedge on the end of this edge of the work. This edge of the work over here is not joined yet because it's new and nothing has happened, but I'm going to show you a little bit about this, and then we will start the new wedge. Okay, so as we come all the way across this row, this is row 59, by the way, of the wedge, instead of chaining two, joining and chaining two and working the next row, which is what we did on all these previous rows, because we're joining to the row 1 of the previous wedge, we're going to go ahead and do a yarn over 3 times, which is, I think, a double treble, and join to the bottom of that first row. And we're just making one big yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, 4 times. And so that is what joins those together. Now, to make the next pointy spot that will join the next wedge, we will end up doing this, which is at the end of this row, we're going to chain 8. So we need to turn. So all these rows are turned. And now we are making rows 60, so there are 60 rows. So I'm going to go ahead and just double crochet. I did not add any chains. Double crochet in each of the stitches across. And the increases happen on the start of the new rows. So we are not going to be increasing at the end of this row. And now is a good time to tell you that if you're having trouble with the tension in your non-dominant hand or your yarn holding hand, if you're having trouble with the tension, maybe you've got arthritis, maybe something happens with your pinkies, whatever. If you have trouble with the tension here by holding the yarn, you can hold this yarn in your non-dominant hand as any way you want to get it accomplished, to get you the right tension. The whole point is just to get you a nice comfortable tension and a place to work. So I suggest having the yarn come up over the top of your index finger, and then I hold it like this. Under my pinky does all the work here and holding that tension. But if that's too hard on your pinky or too tight on your pinky, you can do whatever you need to do, including wrapping the yarn this way and holding the tension between fingers this way, if that works more comfortably. This is so uncomfortable for me because I've been doing it the other way since I was 8. So it's really difficult for me to do. But you do you, practice a couple different holds and find the one that works best for you. Now, when I am knitting, I go like this. So I wrap my finger around my pinky and then over my index finger and work like this. So if that works, that might help. And then if you need further tension, you can always wrap it between fingers more. So wrapping it between fingers gives you more tension. Fewer fingers gives you less tension. So, it's hard for me. It's hard to change my ways after all of these years. But certainly if I had a problem with my pinky, then I would work on doing something different so that I could still work. Now let's see, is there another way that I could do this? I'm sure there's a way to go under your index finger and then across fingers. And I just want to do it. I just want to do it the other way because that's the way I've been doing it. So yes, you can do it like this if that works for you. So whatever works for you, please do it. So try different ways to wrap that yarn around your fingers, around the palm of your hand. You could probably even wrap it somehow over your entire palm and wrap with your thumb if necessary. Okay, around your whole hand, but see, I'm still grabbing it with my pinky because that's what's natural to me. So do what works is my lesson for the day. Okay, so as we get along the edge here, thank you for that little aside on the tension. And I know that I wrap the tension. You can see I can wrap the tension pretty hard around my fingers. So that either means that I keep too tight of tension or that I'm dehydrated. I'm not sure which, maybe a little bit of both. But it should not cut into your finger. If it does cut into your finger, it's either you're keeping too tight of tension or, I've literally gotten burns there before. Or you're crocheting too much and you need a break, or you need to put a Band-Aid over there to give it a rest, which I have had to do before. Or sometimes the friction of the yarn, depending on what kind of yarn it is, can cause a little bit of a rope burn of sorts. Okay, as we get along to the other edge of this wedge, we are going to start a new wedge. So we are just finishing up the widest part of the wedge, and it's time to make a new wedge. So I'm going to chain 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oop, that one's a little loose. 8. And I'm going to turn my entire piece because now I'm starting a new point and working this way. So with my new point and working this way, I have chained 8. Give myself some slack. And in the fourth chain, yes, in the fourth chain, 1, 2, 3, 4, I'm going to place 2 double crochets. 1, 2. So that is the start of our new wedge, and I am working away from here we go. This is the correct orientation here. So I am working, this is the widest part of the edge, and now I'm working a new wedge this way. So I have chained 8, placed 2 double crochets, so this counts as 3 double crochets. These skipped ones count as the first double crochet. Now I'm going to join, so chain 2, join with a slip stitch in the side loop, chain 2, turn, skip the chains. So I am not increasing on this very first part, so there will be 3 double crochets at the beginning of this point of the next wedge. Make sure you get 3 double crochets in there. Now we will do a chain 5, which is the side loop. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, the side loop of the next wedge. And this probably makes no sense to you all, but here we go. So we're skipping the first 5 chains, and in the first double crochet, this is where we're increasing now and the rest of the wedge. Every time you're starting a chain 5 and you're turning, you are increasing by placing 2 double crochets in the first stitch, and then double crochet 1 in each of the double crochets across until you get to the chain loop joins. Now we're going to chain 2, join here, chain 2, and work back. So chain 2, 1, 2, join with a slip stitch in the next chain 5 loop of the previous wedge, slip stitch, chain 2, and turn. So now we are skipping all the chains and double crocheting 1 in each of the double crochets across. No increasing when we are working on this return wrong side row. Okay, so when we get 1 in each, then we're going to chain 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and turn the work. And can you guess? We do increase over here. And now that we have that increase right here, then you know that every time you have a side loop, you should be increasing. So I have my chain 5 loop happening here, and I will increase now with 2 double crochets. Okay, so these wedges have 60 rows in this DK version of the blanket. If you are doing the worsted weight version of this blanket, you only need 44 rows. The point is you need an even number of rows, okay? All right, and so if we were starting this project from the very beginning, is there some yarn here where I can start a new project for you? Oh, where's this going? Oh, this is going to take a while. Okay, let me get some other yarn. If we were starting, this one is sport weight, but that's fine. If we are starting a new project from the beginning, we would start with a chain of, my goodness, Ellen, you've got too much yarn. Okay, let's look at the book and make sure that I'm going to say it exactly right. We're going to start with a chain of 6. So we're doing a little point. So if we're starting the project from the beginning, we're starting with a slip knot on the hook and a hook that goes with the weight of the yarn. We're going to chain 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 counts as the first side loop. So in the 6th chain from the hook, we are placing 3 double crochets. 1, and this is how you start the project. So I know I'm several minutes in and just now starting the project, but I wanted to show you that tricky part first and some different ways to hold the yarn. Okay, so there's our first row. Now we're going to chain 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is the first wedge before we even begin joining. And so now we are going to make a even numbered stitch here. So we've got 2 rows of 3 double crochets first. Okay, so the side loops help us count. Over here is row 1, over here is row 2. We're going to chain 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and turn. And now we will be doing the increases, and we're going to do the increases on this side of the wedge. So I might place a marker there so that I know easily that when I'm on this edge over here, that is when I am adding 2 stitches in the first stitch and then double crocheting across 1 for each stitch, and then chain 5 and turn 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I am not increasing right here because I'm increasing on this edge only where the marker is. So this one just gets 1 for 1. So we're getting the same stitch count for 2 rows before the next one. So there's like rows 1 and 2 are only 3 stitches, rows 3 and 4 are 4 stitches, rows 5 and 6 are 5 stitches because we're just increasing 1 every other row. Yes, that makes sense. Now we've turned and we're on the side of the stitch marker again, so it's time to increase by placing 2 stitches in the first stitch. So whether you're doing the worsted weight version of this blanket, you would be making a total of 44 rows. If you're making the DK version of this blanket, you're making 60 rows. And when you get to the end of the widest part of the wedge, that's when you are going to do the chain 8 like I showed you at the beginning. Okay, I'm sure there will be questions. I might have to redo this video, but give it a thumbs up and please leave questions if you want more detail or need something else. But I hope you have a valuable and relaxing use of your day. Bye. So if you liked this video, here's another one that's similar that you might also enjoy. And here is the video, the last video that was uploaded in case you missed it. Everyone, please like and subscribe.